Hello students, I am Satyaprakash. Welcome to Cars Physics. We are continuing chapter number 3, current electricity. Okay. In this lecture we will discuss Ohm's law. Okay. Ohm's law means all the concepts, all the fundamentals of Ohm's law. Okay. And we will discuss scalar form of Ohm's law and vector form of Ohm's law, okay, validity of Ohm's law, okay, and different concepts or fundamentals which can be discussed under Ohm's law, okay. First thing, Ohm's law is an experimental law. Ohm's law is an experimental law. Okay, means the result of Ohm's law is obtained from experiment. Okay, the result of Ohm's law is obtained from experiment. Okay, then let's bring out our fundamental concepts on the flow of current. Okay, so as you know, charge can flow whenever there is potential difference. Okay, if potential of 2 points is same and a conducting path is connected between 2 points, then charge can't flow. Okay, as we have discussed, if a conductor is connected between terminals of a cell, then free electrons present in the conductor tend to move from low potential to high potential. And according to we do say, conventional current flows from high potential to low potential, means equal quantum of positive charge flow from high potential to low potential as per our convention. Okay, so only electrons can only flow if there is difference in potential between the ends of conductor. Okay, electrons can only flow if potential difference is maintained between the ends of a conductor. Is it clear? Okay, we'll discuss all these concepts in brief, and I hope we'll discuss complete concept on Ohm's law. Okay, suppose we will consider a part of conductor. Again, highlighted part. Okay, this is a conductor, a part of conductor. This is cross-sectional area. Clear? Length of conductor is L, area of cross-section is A. So as we know, electrons are free electrons present in the conductor. Even at normal temperature, room temperature, the free electrons present in the conductor move in all possible directions. Move in all possible directions means randomly. But if the conductor is connected between terminals of a cell left, this is end P, this is end Q. P is connected to positive terminal and Q is connected to negative terminal. Okay, and when current flows through the conductor, means free electrons tend to move from low potential to high potential. Okay, and we have discussed different concepts on the flow of electrons, drift velocity, average relaxation of time. All these concepts we have already discussed. So, conventional current flows from high potential to low potential if a potential difference is maintained between the ends of the conductor. Okay, so as per Ohm's law, according to Ohm's law, current flowing in a substance, there is directly as the potential difference between the ends of the conductor. Okay. According to Ohm's law, current flowing in a conductor or current flowing in a substance varies directly as the potential difference between the ends of conductor provided all physical conditions remain same. Okay. According to Ohm's law, current flowing in a substance or in a conductor varies directly as the potential difference between the ends of conductor provided all physical conditions remain constant. So what are those physical constants? Basically, we may take temperature. The basic important condition is temperature must remain constant. Temperature must remain constant. Or you say pressure, or we may say humidity, or we take mechanical strength. See. So usually it is said that temperature remaining constant, current flowing a conductor varies directly as the potential difference maintained between the ends of conductor. Usually it's also said. But you see, we have taken all physical conditions remain same. If pressure changes, then temperature will change. If humidity changes, then it may affect the temperature. If mechanical strain is produced, then also it may affect the condition, means it may affect the validity of Ohm's law. So we have taken all physical conditions and basically we consider at a constant temperature. Okay, is it clear? Basically we consider at a given temperature, at a constant temperature, current flowing a conductor varies directly as the potential difference between the ends of the conductor. But to have a constant temperature, to maintain a constant temperature, all these physical conditions should be maintained to be constant. Okay. So this is about Ohm's law. Okay. Then how can you represent it mathematically? Okay. Suppose the end P is connected to high potential and end Q is connected to low potential. Potential difference between the ends of conductors, we may take delta V or you take V. Okay. Potential difference is V. You may connect this is zero potential, this is a positive potential, V minus 0. Let now potential difference is V. Then according to Ohm's law, current flowing in a conductor I varies directly as the potential difference delta V, or let's take V. Varies directly as the potential difference maintained between the ends of conductor. Okay, or vice versa. Okay, vice versa means potential difference directly proportional to current flowing through the cross-sectional area of the conductor. Okay, it may be also taken. So current is equal to, if you consider this equation, we may consider this equation also. Same thing, vice versa. So current flowing is equal to a constant that is equals to 1 by r into v. If you consider this, v is equal to a constant r into I, means v is equal to I r, or here I is equal to v by r, or we may say again v is equal to I r. Okay, where r, this r is resistance, r is the resistance of the conductor, which is constant. I proportional to V, I is equal to 1 by R into V, means 1 by R is constant or resistance is constant. Similarly here, we will take vice versa form. V directly proportional to I, V is equal to R into I. So R is the resistance, which is a constant. So in Ohm's law, resistance is taken to be constant. In Ohm's law, resistance is taken to be constant. So, you just see, you may consider either of this equation or this equation. Okay? Either, vice versa is also true. So, if current is directly proportional to potential difference, or potential difference is directly proportional to current, then the graph between IV or VR, obviously it will be straight line, because current directly proportional to potential difference. Okay. So, from experiment it is found that I proportional to V if all physical conditions remain same. Let the ends of the conductor is connected to the terminals of a cell by the help of a variable resistance. Okay. By the help of a variable resistance, of course using rheostat. Okay. By changing the position of rheostat, means pointer of rheostat, we can vary the current flowing in the circuit. Okay. So, we may change the potential difference, or we may change, as I have taken, current is directly proportional to potential difference. If current will change, obviously potential will change in accordance with change in magnitude of current. So, it is found from experiment that, say, this is a conductor. Now, potential difference is V1 and current is I1. When current I1 is 2 ampere, it is found experimentally. From experiment, if current is, for an example, if current is flowing 2 ampere, then at that stage, let potential difference is 3 volt. If current is made 4 ampere, then it is found that potential difference is 6 volt. If current is made 6 ampere, then potential difference is found to 9 volt. If current is made 8 ampere, then potential difference is found to be 12 volt. So these are the identical experimental data. So increase in current and increase in potential difference. See, these variations are similar as that of these variations. So if we plot a graph between current and potential difference, taking 2 ampere, 4 ampere, 6 ampere and 8 ampere. Accordingly here, potential difference in volt, this is 3 volt, this is 6 volt, this is 9 volt, and this is 12 volt, and so on. Then we will find that the graph is a straight line. The graph is a straight line. Oh, the graph is a straight line. Okay, the graph is found to be a straight line if we plot a graph between current and potential difference, the graph is found to be a straight line from experiment. Okay. So this is a fundamental discussion on Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law? Okay. Current is directly proportional. Potential difference if all physical conditions are taken to be constant. Okay. See, if you take IV graph, then what we have discussed, I is proportional to V. Current directly proportional to potential difference, then this is current. This is potential difference, and the graph is found to be straight line, making a constant angle, So that graph is a straight line. Suppose, let's consider, suppose this angle is theta, then this angle is also theta. Okay. You just take a segment. Then this may be taken as BI, this may be taken as D. Then tan theta, this angle is 90 degrees. Then if I is proportional to B, then I is equal to 1 by R into B. Okay. Then I by V is a constant, that's equals to 1 by R. R is constant, resistance is constant. Okay. Resistance is constant. So, in Ohm's law, resistance is taken to be constant. But it doesn't mean that resistance of a conductor or resistance of a substance remains constant. Resistance varies. We'll discuss all these concepts in this lecture also. Then, here, dI by dV, you see here, dI by dV is 1 by R. dI by dV is 1 by R. Means 1 by R is equal to dI by dV. In place of dI by dV, we may write tan theta. Then resistance is 1 by theta. Where tan theta is slope of graph. Thus, from IV graph, resistance is equal to reciprocal of slope of graph. Slope of IV graph. Okay. Resistance is equal to reciprocal, means 1 by tan theta, reciprocal of slope of IV graph. Clear? If you take VI graph, okay, if you take VI graph, this is about IV graph. I by V is equal to 1 by R. Okay. If you take VI graph, okay, then V proportional to I or V is equal to IR. If you again plot a graph between V and I, the graph will be found to be straight line. Then this angle is theta. Again, if you take a small segment, then this is dV, this is dI. This angle is also theta. Then tan theta is equal to dV. Tan theta is equal to dV divided by dI. Again, P by tan theta is P by V. So dV by dI. See, V by I is R, means dV by dI is R. Means here resistance is equal to tan. Okay. Thus here resistance is slope of VI graph. If you consider VI graph, then resistance is equal to slope of VI graph. If you take IV graph, then resistance is reciprocal of slope of graph. Okay. So I proportional to V, current flowing in a conductor or current flowing in a substance directly proportional to potential difference between the ends of conductor, provided all physical conditions remaining same. Similarly, potential difference is directly proportional to current flowing in the conductor, provided all physical conditions remaining same. From IV graph, resistance is reciprocal of slope of graph. From VI graph, resistance is slope of graph. Okay. So this is the fundamental thought behind Ohm's law. Okay. Now some other discussions. We may accept in this way that V is equal to IR, V is equal to IR, or I is equal to V by R. Okay. V is equal to IR. This is scalar form of Ohm's law. This is scalar form of Ohm's law because potential difference is scalar, current is scalar, and resistance is also a scalar. As I have discussed, resistance is a positive scalar quantity. Resistance is a positive scalar quantity, but in this lecture we will see the variation under what condition resistance can be negative. Usually we will say resistance of a conductor is always positive, resistance of a substance is positive, and it is a scalar quantity. But some variations are there, some specific cases are there where resistance is negative. We will discuss in this lecture. Okay. So this is scalar form of Ohm's law. Potential difference scalar, current scalar, and resistance is scalar. Okay. This is area of cross section of the conductor. This is length of conductor. Okay. If area of cross section is 1 unit and length is equal to 1 unit, let's assume area of cross section is 1 unit and length of conductor is 1 unit. Let's assume. So electric field is dV by dr. Magnitude of electric field is dV by dr. Okay. Then in this case, if we take potential difference between the ends is V, then electric field is V. Potential difference V, and distance means length is L. Length is L. Okay. You know the equation. J is equal to sigma. J is equal to sigma. Current density, we have already discussed about current density just in previous lecture. Again, I will like to advise my dear children who have not gone through the previous lecture, go through it once. I have discussed all the aspects behind current density. Current density is equal to conductive heat, sigma is conductivity, and E is electric field intensity. C. E is electric field intensity. E is equal to V by E is equal to V by L. Current density is equal to amount of current flowing per unit cross-sectional area. Okay. So resistance is equal to rho L by M. Usually you have taken this formula. This is resistivity, and resistance is equal to L by sigma. This is about resistance, as we have discussed. So current density, see, electric field intensity is dV by dr, resistance is L by sigma. So current density is brought from current. Okay. In case of current density, see, I am starting here. Suppose I do write it current per unit area. Current density is current per unit area is equal to sigma. Sigma is equal to C. Sigma is equal to L by R. Sigma is equal to L by R. In place of sigma, I do write L by R. Okay. Then electric field intensity, I may write here V by L. Electric field intensity is V by L. But we have considered area of cross section is 1 unit and length is 1 unit. Okay. Or you may cancel here. L get cancelled, A get cancelled. Okay. Then I is equal to V 1 by R into V, or V is equal to I. See, from this equation we can recheck this equation means V is equal to IR. So this equation is identical. As compared to this equation, V is equal to IRC. J is equal to sigma E. We know. In place of J, we can write current flowing per unit area. In place of sigma, R is equal to L by sigma E. Sigma is equal to L by R. In place of sigma, let's put L by R. Again, electric field is V by D. Here, potential difference is V, and distance means length of conductor distance between two cross-sectional areas is L. Then, in place of E, we can write V by L. Then, L gets cancelled, or you may put L is equal to 1 unit and A is equal to 1 unit. Then, what we got? I is equal to 1 by R into V, or V is equal to I. So, this equation is identical as that of this equation. So, this is called as vector form of Ohm's law. Okay. Since J is equal to sigma E, J sigma E. So this equation is identical to that of V is equal to IR. So this is scalar form and this is vector form of Ohm's law. Clear? Is it clear? Okay. So now we'll discuss some aspects behind Ohm's law. Some fundamental aspects behind Ohm's law. What I have discussed, Ohm's law is basically an experimental law. Okay. I proportional to V or V proportional to I, or the graph between I and V or V and I is found to be a straight line from experiment. But if it is asked, that prove Ohm's law. Okay, then we can prove it. So what is Ohm's law? If all physical conditions remain same, temperature, pressure, humidity, mechanical strength, if all physical conditions remain same, then I proportional to V or V proportional to I. Okay. As we know, current flowing is given as NAEV. NAEV. N is the number of free electrons per unit volume or number density of free electrons. A is area of cross section. E is charge of electron, and V is drift velocity. Okay. Then V, we have taken this is E tau by M, or drift velocity is equal to EV tau by M. Tau is the average relaxation of time. Then current is equal to NAE. In place of VD, let's write EV tau by ML. Then current is equal to NAE square tau divided by ML into V. Okay. NAE square tau divided by ML into V. Okay. If all physical conditions remain same, let's consider if temperature is constant or temperature is same, then number of free electrons per unit volume is constant. Okay. If temperature rises, then electrons may escape out from the atoms. Okay. Because the electrons get excited by gaining energy. If temperature increases, means thermal energy increases, so number of free electrons may increase due to rise in temperature. If temperature is constant, the number of free electrons per unit volume means number density of free electrons, that is N is constant. A is area of cross section, constant. E is charge of electron, constant. M is mass of electron, constant. L is length of conductor, constant. Then about the relaxation of time, tau is also constant. If temperature is constant, then number of free electrons per unit volume and relaxation of time or average relaxation of time remains constant. Because if temperature increases, as we have discussed in our previous lectures, if temperature increases, then vibrational energy of free electrons increases. Okay, so it implies more number of collisions, which implies less relaxation of time. Okay, so if temperature increases, relaxation of time decreases, and vice versa. As we have discussed, relaxation of time or average relaxation of time inversely proportional to temperature. If temperature increases, then the relaxation of time decreases. If temperature is constant, then the total factor is constant. If temperature is constant, N and tau are constant, again mass and charge constant, area of cross section and length of a conductor is taken to be constant, then this factor is constant if temperature is constant. Then we can show it now. If temperature is constant, temperature constant means so we do also consider all physical conditions are constant, all physical conditions constant. All physical conditions constant, then I is equal to a constant. This is 1 by R into V, or V is equal to I. Okay. So this is proof of Ohm's law. Okay. All these we know before. So R 1 by R is N A E square tau divided by ml, means resistance is ml divided by Na E square tau. And we have already discussed resistance depends upon nature of material or nature of substance, temperature. Okay. If temperature increases, relaxation of time decreases and resistance increases. Resistance depends upon length of conductor, area of cross section. All these factors we have already discussed, and also we have discussed how resistance varies with temperature. Resistance of a conductor varies with temperature. Okay, so this is proof of Ohm's law. Then now we will discuss validity of Ohm's law. Validity of Ohm's law. Validity of Ohm's law and some important concepts behind Ohm's law. Okay, validity. Usually we do say Ohm's law is valid for solid, metallic conductors called ohmic conductors, or we may say linear conductor, Ohm's law is valid for solid and metallic conductors called ohmic conductors or linear conductors. As we have discussed, V is equal to IR and R is a constant for for ohmic conductors. For ohmic conductor, but practically we have discussed resistance depends upon so many factors. Length of conductor, area of cross section. If length and area are taken to be constant also, then resistance depends upon temperature and nature. Okay. So for ohmic conductor, resistance is constant. Okay. But the conditions are there. If all physical conditions are taken to be constant, temperature, pressure, humidity, etc., then resistance is constant for ohmic conductor. So, Ohm's law is valid for solid metallic conductors called ohmic conductor or linear conductor. Linear means the variation of current with potential difference Vi or IV graph is a straight line, so it is called as linear conductor. Okay. But this condition may not be true for very large current. For very large current, a solid metallic conductor, for a solid metallic conductor at a large current, the graph may not be a straight line. See. Well, right now, okay, suppose we do take for conducting devices at high, for conducting devices if current is high. For conducting devices if current is high, see, you know the relation, or we will discuss in electric energy and power. Of course, you know it. Current heat is equal to I square. If current is very high, then thermal energy will increase, which implies there will be increase in temperature. Okay. If current is very high, still then in conducting device, Ohm's law is not valid. Okay, means the graph will not be a straight line. For high current, if current is high, if you take VI graph, then it is a straight line, of course. For conducting devices, the graph between V and I or I and V is a straight line. It's correct. But if current is high, see, this is straight line, now it is linear. So this straight line may continue like this if current is not too high. But if current is high, this will not further be a straight line, but it will be a curve. Okay, it will be a curve. So now, the conducting devices is not linear or ohmic. For high current, conducting devices do not obey Ohm's law beyond a certain current. There is some limit of current depending upon the nature of material. Okay. So usually, the substances which obey Ohm's law, specifically solid and metallic conductors, okay, called as ohmic conductor or linear conductors. Of course, most of the electric devices are ohmic conductors. Most of the electric devices are ohmic conductors. Okay. Then, idea about non-ohmic conductor. The substance which doesn't obey Ohm's law. The substance which doesn't obey Ohm's law is called as non-ohmic substance or non-linear substance. Means the graph will not be a straight line. Usually, conducting devices are ohmic conductors, ohmic substance, but for high temperature, it doesn't show the same result. The graph will not be a straight line. This is variation of this case. Okay. Ohm's law as we have discussed, in most of the cases, Ohm's law is valid. But there are some cases, suppose we do consider gas, Ohm's law is not valid. Okay. Thus we may say, Ohm's law is not universal. Ohm's law is not universal, as it is not obeyed in some cases, Okay. The substance which doesn't obey Ohm's law, called as non-ohmic or non-linear substances. Clear? It is easier? Okay. Then we will discuss some other cases. Okay. We have discussed about conductor. Usually the graph is a straight line, but for a very high temperature, the graph may be curved beyond a certain value of current. Okay. For semiconductor devices, we'll discuss in brief about semiconductor devices, p-n junction diode, transistor. Okay. So, in many cases of semiconducting devices, Ohm's law is not valid. Okay. Of course, for vacuum tube, Ohm's law is not valid. Okay. For semiconducting devices, suppose we do take p-n junction diode. We'll discuss in brief on p-n junction diode. P-type semiconductor, N-type semiconductor. But I have discussed a little. Pure semiconductors are not used in practice because conductivity of pure semiconductor is not too able. So we do are some impurity atoms. Depending upon the nature of impurity atoms, semiconductors are of two types, P-type and N-type. The combination of P-type and N-type semiconductors called as p-n junction diode. Okay. Diode is used as a rectifier, converts AC to DC. Okay. So let's see the various IV characteristics. This is current and this is voltage. Current in milliampere and voltage in volt. Okay. P-n junction diode is used in two ways. Either it is forward biased or it is reverse biased. In this region, we are showing the variation current and voltage forward biasing. The graph will be like this. The graph will be like this. Slowly, then it will increase sharply. Up to this voltage, increase in current is very small. This voltage is called as knee voltage. Then current increases sharply. This is for forward biasing. And for reverse biasing, we may take current around this direction in microampere, and for reverse biasing, the graph, variation of graph will be like this. Different terms are there. Knee voltage, breakdown voltage, we will discuss in brief. So, as we see, just see it, this is for reverse biasing, this is for forward biasing. The graph is not a straight line. Means p-n junction diode is a non-ohmic substance. Okay. Fine. Then for gases, Ohm's law is not obeyed in gases. For gases, let's take variation of current, IV or VI, any variation we may take. Now we are taking IV drop. Okay. For gases, if current is allowed to flow through gas kept in a tube, and if you plot a graph between current and voltage, then approximately it will be observed like this. Approximately it will be observed like this. Suppose this is O, this is A. If you take very small current, then the graph may be treated as a straight line. Means for small current, very small current, the graph may be treated as a straight line, but usually it is not. Then this is point B, this is point C. Okay, C. This shows positive slope, and BC. This slope is negative. Means if slope is negative, tan theta is negative, then resistance is negative. Resistance is negative in case of gases because the slope is negative. So this is the case where resistance is negative. Usually resistance is a positive for conductors. In gas, the graph shows the negative slope, so resistance may be negative. Another example of negative resistance or negative slope. Negative resistance or negative slope. Okay. Tetrode valve. Tetrode valve. This is not in our scope, but just have some idea. For tetrode valve, the experimental graph between current and voltage is like this. This is straight line, increases, then decreases, and so on. See, again the slope is negative. If this is B, this is A, this is B, this is C. Then slope between B and C is negative, and this region shows resistance is negative. Resistance is negative. Clear? Okay. Again, Ohm's law is not completely valid in salt solutions. Suppose we do take copper sulfate in water. Copper sulfate in water. Okay. Copper sulfate in water. If you take copper sulfate, this is I, this is V. IV graph, copper sulfate in water, then the graph will be, sorry, then the graph will be like this, will be carved. For small value of current we may consider, for small value of current it's a straight line and gradually it bends. Gradually it bends. For gas, sorry, copper sulfate in water. So, carb means anomalic, okay. But for small current we may consider it's ohmic, okay. Then some other points, very important point. Let's consider conducting devices. Suppose a graph is given like this. I am taking two types of graphs. Okay. This is IV graph, and this is VI graph. Suppose we are taking conducting devices A and B. There are two conducting devices A and B, and graph between IV and VI for A and B conductors is given. Okay. Suppose this is the resistance. Suppose this is for conductor A and this is for conductor B. Similarly, This is for conductor B and this is for conductor A. Then in this case, the result will be same, or we may change here. Okay. Same result will come. See, this is for conductor A, this is for conductor B. Then it is asked between A and B, which conductor has more resistance? Okay. For conductor B, this angle is theta. Let's say theta B. For conductor A, this angle is theta. So as we know, I is equal to 1 by R into V. I is equal to 1 by R into V. V is equal to I. Then, in this case, 1 by R is equal to tan theta. I by V. This implies I by V is 1 by R. So I by V or di by dv is slope of graph. In place of I by V, let's write tan theta I by V. I by V is 1 by R. I by V is tan theta is equal to 1 by R. Means resistance is reciprocal of slope of graph, as we have considered. But here, theta A is more than that of theta B. Theta A is more than that of theta B. And as we know, tan theta A is greater than that of tan theta B. If theta is more, then tan theta is more. If tan theta is more, then resistance is less. Then tan theta resistance is a reciprocal of slope. So if tan theta is more than that of tan theta B, then we may say resistance of A is less than that of resistance of B. Resistance of A is less than that of resistance of B. If tan theta is more, then resistance is less. Here, but in this graph, as we know, V is equal to IR, then resistance is V by I, or resistance is equal to tan theta dV by di. You may take by using while calculating slope. D by I is tan theta here. This angle is theta. This angle is theta. So here, theta B, see I have interchanged. Theta B is greater than theta. So tan theta B is greater than that of tan theta. Theta B greater than theta. So tan theta B is greater than tan theta. Resistance for VI graph, this is VI graph, this is IV graph. For VI graph, resistance is equal to tan theta. If tan theta is more, then resistance is more. Then we may write resistance RB is greater than resistance RB. The result is same. Okay. So using the simple concept slope or reciprocal of slope. Again, another very important thing which I will discuss in next lecture about Ohm's law. Because in next lecture we will discuss the difference between potential difference and EMF. EMF, electromotive force, which is not a force but source of energy, just hints for next class, okay, for next lecture, in which also we will see how Ohm's law is applied. See, this is a circuit. This is resistance, external resistance, and this is cell of EMF, internal resistance. We will discuss all these aspects. The relation between internal resistance, external resistance. Now, current is flowing conventional current from high potential to low potential, let potential difference is V. Very important discussion. I will repeat in next lecture, and I will find the relation by using this concept. Very important. Ohm's law is not applied. Very important. Ohm's law is not applied only for the part of circuit, very important for the part of circuit containing source of EMF. But Ohm's law is applied for the part of circuit not containing source of EMF. This is very important, very important. Ohm's law is not applied only. Ohm's law is not applied only for the part of circuit containing source of EMF. Same is source of EMF. EMF is not a force, electromotive force, but EMF is not a force, but source of energy. Units of EMF is in volt, potential. Potential is source of energy. So Ohm's law is not applied for the part of circuit, only for the part of circuit containing source of EMF. We can't apply Ohm's law only for this part because cell contains chemical, means chemical energy. As we have discussed, Ohm's law is not valid for salt solutions or chemicals. Okay. If current increases, then it will not obey Ohm's law. But Ohm's law is applied for the part of circuit not containing source of EMF. So for only this part, we may apply Ohm's law, but we can't apply Ohm's law for only this part. Again, another controversial thought, not controversial, very simple thought. Ohm's law is applied to entire circuit to calculate current. See, we can't apply Ohm's law for only this part of circuit, but we can apply Ohm's law for only this part of circuit. But what this says, Ohm's law can be applied to entire circuit, means this plus this. Okay, containing source of EMF and not containing source of EMF for entire circuit. Ohm's law is applied to entire circuit, this plus this, the whole circuit, to calculate current. But for only this part, Ohm's law is not applied, but for only this part, Ohm's law is applied, V is equal to I. Clear? But Ohm's law is applied to entire circuit to calculate current. So these 2 points again, I will repeat in next lecture. We'll discuss in next lecture potential difference, EMF, internal resistance, and relation between internal resistance and external resistance. Thanks, my children. Thanks for your support. Thanks.